Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from where you are. We were having some technical problems here. Bruno lost his connection for a while, so let's get started this event. So for a better interaction, you have on the right a chat. So type hi, say hello on the chat, and say. From where you are talking. I'm talking here from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Douglas, I think, is talking from USA, and Otávio is talking from Brazil also. So today we're going to have two very good meetings. The first one with Douglas will be the how to get an effective learning and how to apply the related practices on your life as a developer. And following this talk, we are going to have a live discussion about open source and how to join on open source. Talking with Otávio, he will going to tell us that's the secret to join an open source project. He's also an open source developer and a Java champion. So he has so many good tips for us. So I'm seeing here, yeah, Douglas. Say hi, Douglas.
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Say hi, Otávio. How are you doing?
Oh, hello, everybody. That's nice to be here. I'm so happy.
Okay, so I see Douglas correct me that he's talking from Dallas. Abukar is talking from Paris, and Gabriel is talking from São Paulo. I think you're talking from Bahia, right, Otávio?
No, right now I'm in São Paulo.
Okay, I just remembered that your nickname, so I just thought that you're talking from Bahia. Okay, so
Yeah, actually, I was born in Salvador and Bahia, but right now I'm living in São Paulo.
Okay, so great. So let's get started with the first talk, and let's go with the morning after taking a course with Douglas. So Douglas, the show is yours.
Sure thing, Rodrigo. Thanks a lot. I just want to be sure people can hear me. Just let me know that I'm coming through, and then also you can see me too.
Yeah, we can hear and see you perfectly.
Okay, so let's get this started. So let's go through a scenario. It's 8 a.m. Monday morning, and you have just spent the weekend cramming a course on the next greatest framework, library, or technology. It is time to start working on that new project. You get started, and immediately you have to bring up a browser, go to Google, and start searching. Over the weekend, as you were working through the course, you could swear that you knew what was presented in the course, but not now. What gives? Has this ever happened to you before? It's happened to me. And the cool thing is, it's perfectly normal. You did know it, but you were using your short-term memory. Now, courses and books expose you to new technology, but they do not encourage skill mastery. Courses can and should be used as a component in learning, but just because you take a course doesn't mean that you know the material. In this talk, I want to try to answer two questions. First, why do we forget what we learned? Second, is there a way to help us remember what we learned? So, who am I, and why am I talking about this? As you heard before, my name is Douglas Hirsh. I taught myself C++ when I was 12 years old. And at that point, I just couldn't stop coding. I've worked in the software development industry for about 17 years. And I was an instructor at a coding boot camp for nearly a year because I wanted to learn how people learn by teaching. I have learned a lot over the years. Learning how to learn was the most important. So let's attempt to answer the first question. Let's talk about memory for a minute. Memory is all about encoding, storage, and recall. Remember how I said earlier that you did know what you were learning? As you were learning it, that's because you were storing all the new information in your short-term memory. There are two main types of memory. They are short-term memory and long-term memory. When you are reading a book or watching a course, you are using your eyes and ears to bring in new information. This is called encoding, and it goes into your short-term memory. The only issue is short-term memory lasts for less than a minute, but it sure can lull you into thinking that you understood what you were learning. The challenge is getting information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. That is what we call the storage stage of memory. I don't want to bore you with all the details, but it really comes down to this. Learning something new, whether it be in software development or anything else, is like building up a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you get. It was the one differentiator that set apart my successful students versus my unsuccessful students that I had while I was an instructor. To learn a new language, framework, or library, you have to use it. Right now, you might be thinking that you already knew this. You might even say that this is called practice or experience. And I would say that you are correct, but it is how you practice that can accelerate your learning. So now let's attempt to answer the second question. How do we learn new information effectively? As I said before, it comes down to how you practice that will help you move the information from short-term to long-term memory. Now, this is where deliberate practice comes into play. My favorite book on deliberate practice is called Peak: Secrets from the New Science of Expertise by Anders Ericsson. Anders' first research into deliberate practice was released in a paper dating all the way back to 1993. Basically, what Anders was saying was that people assumed that we are endowed with some sort of latent talent at birth, and that at some point, we discover it and start, jumping on it. But from his research, he showed that isn't true. the people who attained the most expertise had done so through practice, but not just any sort of practice. By now, you're probably asking, what's the difference between practice and deliberate practice? Anders defines deliberate practice as not just practicing the skill rote over and over again. That'd be like for us writing the same line of code over and over again. But breaking down a skill into chunks and then deliberately practicing those skill chunks. Now, here's the key. After you practice, then you come back again and you try to practice the skill at a more advanced level. Doing this on a regular basis will make you better at the skill that you're trying to attain. Now, here's the question. How do we use deliberate practice in software development? The reason I said earlier that books and courses are good components to skill mastery is that they break down a skill into chunks for you. In fact, one of my favorite courses has a video component where the student can follow along, and then a book that comes along with it where they implement a project that closely follows the video. The written portion doesn't tell them how to do it. It tells them what they need to do. But I would say that you could do this with any course that you are taking or book that you are reading. Here are 5 simple steps to get you started. The next time you take a course, try this. Go all the way through it. Make notes about the steps that the author took to put the example project together, and where in the course or book you can refer back to if you need. Now, remember, while doing this, we are not trying to take down the exact how you do it. We just want to know what you need to do. 3, now come up with a project or idea that is similar to the project from the course. It could be the same project. Just start from the beginning. And by that I mean blow it away and start over from scratch. Step 4, try to execute the steps. And this is really important. When I say try, I mean really try. The reason for this is how hard you try is going to affect how well you will remember. This is also based on research. If you cannot remember how to execute a step, then refer back to the course or book. The really cool thing about going through these steps is that trying to remember something and going back and getting the correct answer later reinforces the memory. In fact, the harder you try to pull the memory out, the more it reinforces it. And one more thing about deliberate practice is the idea of feedback. And with programming, we have a feedback loop built in. Is your program doing what you expect it to do? If it is, then you are moving in the right direction. So now you might be asking, well, what do I do after I do those 5 steps? Well, I would say if you feel like there's more you need to master, you repeat the steps. But the next time you repeat the steps, you take some of those individual single steps and make them one. And when you use this strategy, you will spend more time learning, but you will attain mastery at the skill. Another benefit to all this, like trying to put projects together and stuff, is that you will have several projects that you can use to showcase the skill that you have attained. This concept is what the deliberate developer is all about. We want to help people master new skills in software development by creating courses and materials that use the techniques that have been discussed this evening. I appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me speak. Learning is a topic that isn't covered as much as I think it should be. If you would like to hear more about accelerated learning in the context of software development, please head over to www.deliberatedeveloper.com and join the Deliberate Developer. You can find me on Twitter at D Hirsh Jr. That's D as in Douglas and my last name with JR on the end. Also, please feel free to email me at douglas@deliberatedeveloper.com if you have any questions or comments. Thanks again for your time.
Okay, Douglas, very good presentation. And also I put the link that he's talking about, his website. So if you are tired of don't remember forgetting things, everything that you learn, so join on his initiative that he will talk about this accelerating process of learning and get the most of the time you put on training on a better way. So this is the right place so you can join him, and he will send you very, very soon an exclusive guide so you can get started with deliberative practice in software development. And let me put here, and this is his Twitter if you want to follow him. Yeah, I'm Bruno. I'm using his link here to host the meeting. And if you want to know more, if you have any question, please type on the chat here, and you can. This event is it's for you to ask questions and interact with the speakers. And I have one question for you, Douglas. So you are talking about deliberative practice, and how often do you recommend for us developers practice software development, or these kind of techniques that you are saying about developing things? So you think every day, or just every day of the week when you arrive on the job? What kind of tips and tricks that you have to help us on this starting process on deliberative practice?
Sure. So it really comes down to, what do you want to do? So if you are, for instance, let's just say that you're a back-end Java developer, but you want to get into front-end development, well, your job isn't going to lend itself usually to moving into front-end development. You're going to have to go through and you'll have to do the courses and practice throughout maybe your evenings and weekends and stuff like that to get to a point where you could walk up to someone and say, hey, I'm a front-end developer and I've done this back-end development stuff too. But let me add this in there. If you want to be a better back-end Java developer and you are already a back-end Java developer, then maybe you don't have to spend as much time outside of work learning new things. You can go and acquire new skills and do things in a more advanced way while you are working throughout your workday. So it just depends. It depends on what the new skill is. Is it pertinent to where you work and what you're doing right now? Can you integrate it into your job? Or are you really going to have to go outside of your work and figure out these new skills?
Great. And about that technique called the Pomodoro technique, you think that one Pomodoro a day to practice maybe a new skill of, like you're saying, the back-end practice? So if you want to push up things on your back-end knowledge, you think maybe a Pomodoro each day can handle and can increase your learning?
So let me step back for a second. There may be some people in here that do not know the Pomodoro technique.
Okay.
And so the Pomodoro technique, and I love the question, is essentially what we call a time boxing technique. And the way that it works is that you set, I'm going to focus this 25-minute chunk on a task. And then after I'm done with it, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Now, this is how I've practiced it. So correct me if you do it differently, but this is how I practice it. And, after 5 of them, you take like a 30-minute break or, something like that. And my recommendation would be that if you are trying to push yourself into a new skill set, that you at least spend the equivalent of 2 Pomodoros or Pomodori. I think that's the plural of, you spend 2 of them working on that new skill at least. And, depending on responsibilities outside of work, and you know how that goes, you could spend more time, or you may only be able to spend 1 Pomodoro. It's just, the idea is that we've got to get to the point where we're trying to use our mind to bring out this information that has been fed in. The whole idea of this repetitiveness and then trying to do it better is the idea of deliberate development. I mean, deliberate practice, excuse me. But that's kind of where I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that maybe just 2 Pomodoros will just increase very, very much your learning process, because when I can apply 2 Pomodoros in the morning before doing the other stuff with a very focused guide, man, I never reached 5 Pomodoros in a stick, like you said, because when I just do 2 or 3, I feel so ready to reach my day, because I'm 3 Pomodoro, you can do the world, because it's so many time focus that at least in my case, I feel very happy that I can learn so much from this.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the focus from the Pomodoro technique, it really will help with learning. There are caveats, but I mean, just from being able to focus for 25 minutes without disturbance, you have to turn notifications off and all sorts of stuff. But the drill.
Yeah, for sure. And so guys, if you want to ask some questions for Douglas and also for Otávio, you can type on the chat. That it will be interacting with all of you. And so let's thank you very much, Douglas, for your presentation. And Douglas will stay here for the end of the event, so you can ask whatever you want for Douglas here. But let's introduce you to Otávio. He's a Java champion, open source developer, participating in many different projects, and has been contributing to I think the name is Cassandra, the NoSQL database, the JDK project, and contributes to several JCPs and JSRs. So, and I think, Otávio, you are working today for Tom Tribe, right?
Yeah. Today, currently, I'm working for Tom Tribe.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for being here on this event, and I will try maybe to make some questions here and try to interact with the audience here, and maybe we can start, and you can tell a little bit more on how you start with open source, if it was hard to start with.
Okay. But I'm glad to be here. I can see a lot of different people from different cities, countries, São Paulo, Montreal. But I think I know you, Saulo Roberto, from Montreal. I had a close friend that has exactly the name. I believe he live in the exact same city. Maybe just coincidence. But okay. So, okay, let's go down in my head. Thank you, Bruno. Oops. About open source in my life, everything that I know right now is open source because that was a nice way to learn about it, to get network, to improve my English, because everything in the open source goes to the English language. A lot of people question me, okay, what kind of the language that I should learn first? So my guess is learn English as first language, and then you can learn whatever language program you'd like to learn. That's my first device. Um, and because that, I found Bruno and I found more friends and then more engineers. And that include my job, my boss. So I found David Blevins in that community, open source, and the conference. I mean, open source to me was a door that opened my whole life and also opened my whole career.
Yeah, I think you also asked my second question for you. That would be if the open source helped in some way your career. So I think you just said that the open source gives you the opportunity to make so many networking on the events and the project. But you said that you participate on open source projects, but can any developer join an open source project, or do I need to be a master, a really expert guy to join on the open source project?
Um, no, I mean, actually, if you're a beginner, if you do open source, that's a nice opportunity to first learn about the technology and also know the guy who's behind that technology, and also being the guy who make that technology. So if you're a beginner, of course, come join us. And for example, okay, I'd like to learn more about Java and NoSQL. Right now, we are writing the JNoSQL framework that has some nice APIs to connect Java and NoSQL that make easier that integration. So okay, I'd like to learn both. If you join to genosql.org, you can get a lot of information. You can help learn and also, of course, share what you know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also seeing looking at the chat here and saw Hadil from Congo, Africa, and also Saulo Roberto that maybe is a friend, and Nada. Uh, he the question is, I'm starting learning code recently. Any recommendation for how to find a job as a Java developer? Do you know how to help on this question, Otávio?
Oh, that's it to me. Mostly I find job on the open source. So Nadia, I recommend that you do the exact same thing. I mean, mostly the open source products has some company behind. Something like okay, Tom Tribe has, or Tommy has a Tom Tribe behind, and OpenJDK has several companies behind, such as Twitter, such as Oracle. So if you go to any kind of open source products, that's could be a nice way to find a job. I mean that's a positive way, right? Because mostly we are we are running for find jobs, and the open source mostly the job gonna find you. I mean that's sort of nice idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because when you get exposed on these situations, they start to know you. Yeah, because when you're just talking with your closest friends and not sharing what you know or not helping everyone, so who will knows what you are capable of doing things. So when you start sharing things and participate on this kind of project, they will increase your networking, and maybe you will be asked for a job position that even is available on the market. I think maybe you are working on this position, Otávio, without sending a curriculum. What is the experience of sending curriculums?
I mean, a good step is try to Google yourself and check the results. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
try to Google yourself. And open source is a good opportunity to do that. I mean, okay, I'd like to learn more about machine learning, so start to write about it. Join the communities, do presentation, and join in any kind of Apache or Eclipse Foundation open source project. And then when you Google yourself, you're gonna find a lot of machine learning reference. And basically, when a huge company want to get a huge product, they usually try to find the best developers. Okay, I'd like to create a machine learning product, so let's find machine learning and try to find developers behind that technology. So if you can find, if you can Google yourself, the company may find you also by Google. I mean, any search engine, LinkedIn, Bing, whatever you want to use. But the whole point is, if you share what you know, using open source, write blogs, help documentation, uh, you can find yourself, and that means the company can find yourself also.
So you don't need to send a curriculum, ask for a job position, or begging, please hire me, because they will come to you because you are doing great with the
Yeah,
community.
mostly, yeah. The company will find you. However, if you'd like to a job, and then, okay, guys, I'd like to get in at that company, and that's my experience. Probably the company try to find you to find reference, and, and when you're an open source guy, the word become your reference. Like, okay, I'd like to get in that company, and that company, okay, let's try to find about Rodrigo. Ah, okay. He did a presentation, Jav1, about it. Nice. Ah, okay. He has a product that has a sample. Ah, okay. He's a product leader from Apache project about that stuff, that technology. That's so nice to improve, to get more reference.
Yeah, and all I think Douglas is saying, and he's right in my opinion. To join open source, you will you will need maybe a GitHub. So talking about the GitHub, you said about documentation. Is this a good way to start in an open source project?
Um, First, GitHub is to me something like the resume from the Java developers right now. Mostly the company are looking for, okay, what are you doing, what you share on your GitHub profile. So what kind of product you are like, you don't like, you contribute, what kind of project you did a PR. So that is it. And about the good way to start, sure, a documentation is a good step first, because that's a nice way to understand what the product does right now. So okay, let's read and then understand what the product does, what feature that product has. So okay, the, and also, I mean, you can help to fix some typo, and the people gonna start to know who you are. And okay, this guy is beginning, and then this guy is helping on the documentation. And when you're done, when you reviewed that documentation, you have both. You know exactly what the product does, and the people knows who you are. You're a guy who will start to help the product. So you know what feature left, and you are able to translate that documentation. You are able to write blogs about it. You are able to do presentation around the world, or even your local community, or also, I mean, the live presentation, use Google Hangout, use wherever you want. So the good first step is from documentation. I
Yeah.
usually do that. And that's a kind of good strategy to me.
Yeah, I saw a question from Gabriel here, but I will just follow up before asking his question about the documentation, because I met you at the beginning of this year on Campus Party, and I saw a talk that you're saying about these tips about documentation and how to get it started. And I remember there is a guy, I think is Juan from Soul Java Rio, and he watched your talk. And Campus Party is like crazy. You maybe sometimes you don't sleep, and he's trying to code on Node.js, NoSQL, and trying to start with this. And he found a little bug on the documentation on how to get started with the project, and just did what you said on the talk. Just send a pull request with a typo and start with the documentation. And the day after, he met you and say, "Hey, Otávio, I sent a pull request. Did you see?" And so you chat with him, and the day after he watched your talk, he has his first commit accepted on a open source project. So after this, I just realized, man, it's the golden tip. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, when Juan did that, uh, was amazing. Briefly, he found a issue in documentation, a type issue, and then opened the PR to Eclipse Foundation. And right now, he can put on your resume, guys, I have experience in an international project. And guys, I know exactly how that works. And also I have a PR to prove that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
that's
I also get this experience a little time ago. I was trying to know more about the new project from Jenkins Foundation called the Jenkins Next, and I just follow your tips about the documentation. I started reading the whole thing, and I just found some really simple typos, mistakes, and I submit a pull request without much expectations to be accepted, but they really embrace you on the open source community. They talk to you, "Hey man, thank you for your help," and they accepted your pull request and your help, and you start getting addicted to contribute to open source project, because the community is so harm and always embrace you. And try to help and create great things. I really like this approach.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice to hear that you are following that and that is useful for you. And yeah. Aside from documentation is a good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get to the great Gabriel questions. Said Otávio, how much time it took to you became a Java champion? Can you please talk more about that?
I believe it took something like 3-4 years to become Java champion. I believe 3 years. I don't remember the. That was because my contribution on open source project mostly. So basically, I was working in a company, and then that time I went to university, and I need to study to job to university, and also I spent like 1 hour to go deep in the code, understand what's going on, and I mean learn more about that. So I started with documentation as as tip, and then I was growing up on that product that was OpenJDK, and then appeared the opportunity to help one specification that one GSR that was Mon API. A little people would like to improve that specification that requires Java 8. However, everything is not following the OpenJDK rules. So, as I'm a guy who have read the documentation, I knew exactly the rules. So basically, I start to help this guy to follow the rules, to follow the good practice, and then I won the outstanding award because of that. And the people start to know me more, and then the Java champion appeared. So that was my road path.
And Gabriel also asked you 3 years from the beginning of your career?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. I don't know exactly days, years, but around 3 years.
Okay.
Then I
I
decided
think
I'd like to be a Java developer. I'd like to go in that way. That was like 3 years.
okay, you have more than 10 years, I can imagine, on Java developer, as a Java developer.
That's a good question. No, I believe I have like 8 years, 8 9 years.
Okay.
I'm become old, but not too old. I'm kidding.
Oh, great. Let me think about. Douglas also said that another good thing is finding projects that can help, that want help from people that are new to a product. This is a good resource that he also put a link here. So if you want to join, this is a good topic. Do you have anything to add, Douglas?
So what I was going to say is that what that is, people have added on GitHub. They add a label called "Up for Grabs," and this site will find those projects. And "Up for Grabs" means it is something simple, like maybe documentation or a very small contained task that doesn't require knowledge of the entire project in order to be able to get done, but it would be extremely helpful to the project maintainer if someone came in and did it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, very very good topic. That could lead to a great questions. That how do I choose an open source project to participate in? Do you have any tip?
That is find one thing that you love to do in your free time is like to spend your free time. Mostly because that's your free time. I mean, if you like to learn something and maybe something that is important to your career, so choose that.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you're probably gonna use your weekend to study to understand. So, man, okay, I'd like to learn machine learning, so go for it. I mean, choose anything that you want or you'd like to learn, or you are interested or you love to learn. Something like you'd like to spend your whole day learning, you won't be feel tired.
Yeah, and what if I'm a junior, or maybe I just starting? Like we had a question over here. I think it was nada. I don't know how exactly to say this name. Sorry. Can I still help an open source project if I'm just starting?
Yeah, yeah, that's easy. And think about it. If you join the open source project and then you have no idea how can I join, how can you join that open source project? That means you need to do the question and then write the documentation for it.
Yeah, I think the golden tip is always about the documentation, because I think this is the topic that the expert guys that are doing the project for a long time, that maybe it's just put on the side sometimes. And if you want to start and know better the project, the documentation, maybe it's the right place, so you can understand, ask questions, and also do the dirty job that maybe they are not willing to do. Maybe it's is this the way?
I was gonna add that
Just
the documentation is the least favorite of everyone's job. Even if you do it professionally and not in the open source, getting stuck with documentation is the least favorite thing. So going in there and it's the thing that people are going to think of. They're going to push it away, push it away, and push it away. One other thing, and I really liked this point, which is that from a teaching perspective, what I learned when I was teaching is that things we think of, things that we just kind of have in our heads are not in the heads of new people yet coming to our project. And if we've been in a project for years and years and years, someone new coming in and writing that documentation is awesome because we have all the stuff in our head already.
yeah, and also put one thing in your mind. When you like to learn something, where you gonna find? Basically in blogs and documentation. That's why the heart of the project.
Yeah, and we keep talking always about the documentation here, but if I why can't I start fixing interesting bugs or creating something new? What do you think about this? It's a good way to start just getting a bug, or just starting to create a new thing.
Yeah, I mean, after think about it again. Okay, I'd like to improve something. How do you know if that feature is a product or not?
Yeah,
And also, I'd like, oh, this behavior is wrong. Let's assume that behavior is wrong, right? How do you know if that behavior is expected or not?
yeah,
And Douglas is right. It's the least thing that the developer love to do. However, that's still the heart. Sometimes the documentation deprecated and it make a little bit the developer confused to use that product, and there's a nice opportunity, a really really nice opportunity. So start for that, and then go through another step. It's like a baby, right? Baby step, and then walking, and then run, and then fly. I mean,
Yeah. Some days ago, I was talking with a friend of, I think you both maybe know him, Gustavo Carmo. He's trying to make a pull request on the Ansible project, trying to submit a new plugin, and he's dealing with some problems that it was the time zone, because he only have free time on the weekends, and the guys that maintain the project maybe work on the project during the week. And one of the problems maybe who are Gustavo for them. And I said to him exactly what you are saying. If you are trying to improve the documentation, the committers will know about you. And when you try to fix a bug or maybe create a new feature, they're already, oh man, this Gustavo, hey, this is a nice guy. Let me know. Let me see what he's doing now. But if you are just your first pull request, it's a big new thing or just a bug, and they maybe don't get the right attention at the time. So I think it's
yeah, it's like a house. You invite me to your house, and the first time that I go to your house, I told, oh man, you should move your TV to another side, to another wall. What are you gonna feel about it?
yeah,
That's gonna be weird, right? Let's put a different scenario. So you invite me, and then I go, and then I help you to wash the dish, and the next time I go, I help you to put the cabbage out, and then like the next 10 time that I go, I told you, oh man, you should change your TV to another wall. They're gonna be different, right? Because right now you're gonna be like a close friend, and we're gonna be more free to me to do more close suggestion, and your whole family gonna know me. Oh, he did a nice suggestion. Who is the guy? This guy was the guy who helped me to put the garbage out, to clean the dish. I mean, that's a good analogy. So if you go to the first time, create a huge PR, and no one knows who you are, gonna be a little different, because if I don't know you, why do why should I trust you?
I was just going to say it's trust. It's absolutely trust. In fact, your analogy of the, becoming someone's friend and then, helping them with stuff and they go, hey, now maybe you should move that TV. It's all about trust. And even not in the open source community, but like, working on projects that I work on, we build that trust up by doing the same sorts of things. We might work on documentation, work on small bugs that are self-contained, where a more senior developer, decides that's the direction to go in, and that it's small enough that someone could go and work on that without having to have the whole project in their mind and knowing the direction of everything, which is important even in the open source community too.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's the analogy was perfect, because it shows how important it's to create this type of relationship with the community. And like Otávio says, when you start participating on this kind of project or join an event, so you start to get these close friends. So you just met the committer, like Juan did on Campus Party, meeting Otávio, and so he was just close enough to talk about one of the head the guys of the project, so it's a little bit easier to understand things. So you can ask maybe some complex things, or just an advice like, hey Otávio, I know you are on one of the head committers, how can I help you? So now you are just understand what is the a bottleneck that they're having at the moment with the project, not trying to fail to think about new bugs that doesn't exist, or new feature that is not useful.
And yeah, I know that's gonna sound like a boring. Oh man, start from documentation. No. I'd like to create a new resource in the core language. I'd like to create a new kernel for Linux. I mean, but baby steps, and then grew up, and you can go there.
I have and like we are always saying here, people like Gabriel did. So we need interaction. So ask question what you want to know about deliberated prat, so Douglas can answer you, and what type of question do you have about open source, about Java. Otávio is on the is helping on several JSR, so he can handle many type of questions related to Java. So I also have an interesting question to Otávio, because most of the time we saw open source as a free way to use things. So maybe how can I earn money if it's free? So I think you're working most of the time your time on open source projects. So what is your experience on a financial aspect of developer that is dealing with open source project most of your time, and how to be successful on this way?
You can offer support to advanced case, and you don't earn money directly with that product. However, that product make your name bigger in the community, and then you can sell yourself as consult guy. I mean, there are several ways to you earn money. Something like teach, uh, something about. I mean, who the best guy to talk about Cassandra than a commuter, right? Oh, if you like to hire someone from who knows Cassandra, probably the commuter gonna be a good way to hire someone. Um, and also you can have your whole company based on that consult. That's mostly what Tom Tribe does right now. So uh, Tom Tribe offer support to advanced use to Tomcat, Tommy, TiramQ, a lot of flavors from Apache project.
Oh, great. So in this way, you can contribute on a way that can help many of the guys that want to do the things by his hand, but also you can help big companies to get on the way with this new tech without so much effort. Or as you said, if you just hire a training from one of the top committers of the project, it's a lot easier to meet the deadline of the project on the at the time, because you're with on the top advisors of the project, so you can handle things. And also, maybe, I don't know about your experience, that on these consultants or training, is there some bugs that appears sometimes and you just face it when you're doing the training or just making a consultants, and you need to make a new pull request or something like this?
Yeah, that happened. In the middle of training, a guy who did something totally different that we expected in the tools. I believe that was in Cassandra. And then he told me, man, I did that, and then that exception appeared. And then I took a look, okay, you're right. And middle of lunch, uh, I like save some time to fix that, and then open the APR. And after the lunch, I told the guys, uh, this guy here helped the community because he found a bug. He reported to me. And right now you have a PR, so that's gonna be fixed soon in the next version. So the guy who found the bug become happier because he found the bug, and the people like enjoy that because he could see how the open source works in the real time.
Very nice. So it's a direct link to the source. So it's not too much to fix the bug because he has the right contact. Very nice. So guys, we are reaching the top hour of the event. So I don't see any other question here. So let's try to give the final questions here on the chat. So ask questions about deliberative pets, open source, Java. Java, it's also a good topic for now. Are you handling what type of GSR, Otávio?
Right now, I'm spec leader from GSR 385, that is Unity Measurement 2.0. And I believe, as everybody knows, a lot of products and specification is running in Eclipse Foundation. That's why I become committer from several Eclipse Foundation project. So JSONP with YASM, and that is it on my side. Let's and also, of course, Eclipse GenoSQL.
Okay. Yeah, most of the time, you're doing things related to something on NoSQL and Java, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite topic. So that's that's a nice way to learn also, because if you could write something that everybody can send, I need to send first.
Yeah, I think it's also a way to follow the a tip that Bruno also always say, the T-shaped career. So you know many things about many topics, but you know a deep one that in your case you know really well about NoSQL. So I think it's a very good way to be known and expose yourself to the to the community and to the marketing, right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, more questions coming.
Yeah. And so let's Douglas and Gabriel is asking for you a question for you, Douglas. How does deliberative press applies to theoretical concepts?
That's actually a really good question. So, my thoughts have been more applied. So how would we apply, creating a new project, and I need to do this and that and whatnot. But in theoretical concepts, I could see that would be something that how would I take that theoretical concept and apply it to something that I'm trying to do? That would be my first thought, which would be, how do I apply that? And I can go back to my own experience. So this might surprise a lot of people, but I have over a decade in .NET, and I still love this crowd because I know a lot of people here are Java developers, and I have no prejudice against any sort of development whatsoever. But as I was going up through my career, how would I apply certain design patterns? That was the first thing I could remember that came up in my career. Why do we have design patterns? How can I apply that, and how to be careful about not applying the same design pattern to everything? Because the saying about, if it looks like a nail, if all you got's a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And I would say that you just have to look at the problem. And this is kind of where it's nice to have someone who's been doing development longer than you have, because you could try to solve the problem using a new way or a new technique, a new theoretical concept that you've learned, and show it to that well-trusted person, that well-trusted developer that hopefully you've got that would encourage you. It's the only time I would say that the feedback loop might require someone a little bit more senior, just to look at what you've done to be sure you're not making something that's not a certain thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, make all sense. And Gabriel also make some additional comments here. He said, if I need to memorize theoretical concepts of machine learning, that is X structures. For example, how to do it? Should I read over and over? I think it's also related on the topic about the feedback loop on a person maybe that knows more about.
Right.
I don't know. And so what do you think about this?
I would say that machine learning is something that I would like to get into, but I have not gotten into it yet. I think it is actually the next. It is the next stage in evolution as far as where programmers should go. But let me throw this out there. The only way that you're going to learn really what those concepts mean, and this goes back to my design patterns discussion, is by using them. When it's theoretical and it's abstract and it's in your head, it's just abstract in your head. You don't understand why it exists. It's the same thing, like, how many people here have heard of solid design principles? Uncle Bob. How many? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least I got one person. So when I was teaching this boot camp, and we took our students on a field trip, they were told by one of the companies that they would expect, these devs just coming out of a boot camp with 3 months of experience to know about Solid. And my response, not out loud, of course, because we were at someone's company, but my response was, what are you talking about? I could teach someone the principles, the solid design principles. But if you have not done development for a while, you won't understand why they exist. They'll just be words. Where if you have gotten locked into the corners that Solid tries to solve, then that is where things come into play. So just learning theoretical concepts to know how to regurgitate them maybe during an interview isn't going to really help you understand, but doing things with those theoretical concepts and understanding why they are there, and maybe even making the mistakes that people created the theoretical concepts to help prevent you from making, that's going to help you learn.
Yeah. And I think you use a really great example about Solid related to this machine learning that Gabriel asked for. because the solid principle, I totally agree with you, because even if you have a little bit of experience, some of the concepts about solid, it's still a bit hard to understand and to apply on your daily job or daily project, because it's like you said, it's theoretical, and I, in my case, I think when you start talking with other people and just try to understand better what makes sense on the code and how you can apply in a better way this kind of principle, I think it's at the point when you start using this theoretical thing better, because you get a perspective from another person that is using or face the same problem as you, and also I think it's the case that Gabriel says, and when you talk, you force yourself to remember things, remember the concepts, and when you try to explain, you just maintain the information on your. You can say it's better because you are learning so much on this topic. I think it's the long-term memory, something related to this, because you just talk about the topic so many times and try to understand that you just get this thing on your brain.
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's actually a lot more you could dig into that. So, for instance, we actually, our brains build upon other things that we know. We build up what is called mental models of things. And so, if you go to the theoretical concept that is based upon layers upon layers upon layers of other stuff, then you don't have that mental model to be able to understand the theoretical concept. But when you truly understand the theoretical concept, why it exists, how did we get to the theoretical concept, then you could just explain it without having to rote memorize it. And it is in long-term memory at that point.
Yeah, I really like this topic, because it's helped so much on the learning process, because once you understand how your brain works with this myriad of information, you start to getting focus on the things that matter, and start to talk about the topic and practice. Like you said, you need to practice to put things on the way. So thank you very much for the question, Gabriel.
Yes, thank you.
Also, Yvonne is asking, I think maybe it's for Otávio, what are some open source projects for beginners? Do you know any open source that Yvonne can join? Oh, I think the list, and she's asking for
a list. I'm gonna show two lists. The first link is a list from Eclipse Foundation list of projects, and the second one is from Apache. So we're gonna have a bunch of projects, so just pick one and be happy.
And maybe it's a rude list, and maybe it's a good thing to pick one that is related to your passion, like you always try to pick a NoSQL project.
Yeah, if you enjoy music, I believe you can enjoy to open source project that does music or make easier tools to musician. And of course, if you enjoy Java, NoSQL, NoSQL is a good way to go.
Yeah. Okay. So the very nice. So I think this list will help you, Yvonne, to choose one open source project to begin. And I'm not seeing any other questions here. So I think we're going to end this session for this time. Do you have any final consideration, Douglas?
Well, I would say that the only thing that I would throw out there, and this will make you a better developer, make you a better open source contributor, It is go out there and do some things. Do stuff. Do stuff and fail at stuff and keep doing more stuff. Because even if you try to contribute to an open source project and you get rejected, it's still you tried something, and maybe you might need to get some help on how to figure out how to get around the issue, and or maybe you need to go build up trust, but you still did something. If you sit around and just think about what you can do, or I'd like to do something, then you're never going to push yourself forward. And that's my final thought. Just get out there and do things. Make some stuff.
Yeah. I also put join on, I don't know if it's this side or this side, sorry, and join on the deliberated developer that Douglas is running this project. And so you will learn more about this topic. And what about you, Otávio? Do you have any final consideration? Do you have any specific link so you can that you want to share with us?
Okay. Join the open source world. That's a wonderful word to learn, to share what you know, to improve your career. And we have several products on Apache and Eclipse Foundation. And that's nice because hard skill is cool. However, that's not enough. So you need to improve your communication. You need to improve your English. You need to improve your communication when you write something. You need to deal with another people, because software is to make either another guy, another person, and you can learn everything that on the open source world. So join us in that project. And Ion did a question, so I shared that link, and that's it from my side. Follow us on Twitter, so Otávio Java on Twitter. That's it from my side.
Okay, let's type our Twitters here on the chat, so you can follow me. I don't remember if I present myself. I'm Rodrigo Boutinho. I helped this session with. I helped Bruno with this session. He has some connection problem, so we are running this event this week about about your career. Code for Life. It's helping you to go on your career. So on Monday we have a session with Yolande Poirier about branding, and on yesterday we have some a very nice session with Simon about career and how to become an evangelist and contribute to communities and create communities. This afternoon we had a session with Yara about networking, and today we are having here Douglas with the deliberated practice and effective learning, and also we had Otávio talking about open source. And I will put the link to join on tomorrow's meeting, because we are running a full week event. So tomorrow at the same time we have at midday on US Central, we will have a talk with Java, with Elder Moraes, talking about the Java E, or if the Java E is dead, about the Jakarta, the new project that just have just a change of name. And also we will have a talk about junior developers with Basilur, a really nice talk that some of you are willing to start with the software development. At night we're going to have a talk with Fabiane Nardon, that is a specialist on data science, and also with Luciana Sky, that will talk about productivity as a developer. So we have a bunch of content here that you can watch the replays and register for the next event. And all the events, you will have will grab access to the Code for Life portal. So from there, you will be able to watch the replays from the previous sessions, and also a bunch of new contents that we are putting there about your career, so how you can improve it. We also have content from the previous USA trip that Bruno did, that there is a bunch of great topics and tips about your career. So keep in touch with this event. Is really nice content. And thank you, Douglas, and thank you, Otávio, for being here today. Appreciate your talks. And so I'll see you next time. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.